So have you ever wondered exactly how a home cinema really gets put together? So in this video, we're going to go through the key parts, the essential ingredients to creating an amazing cinema at home. So you may have a room at home which is really quite underutilized. It might have the old ironing stacking up, some old games. It's a bit of a kind of backup room for bits and pieces. Now, most people, at least in Australia, are very lucky to have these spaces, but it's underutilized. So these are great rooms for home cinema. In fact, this demo room we've created here is only around 4.5 meters long by 4 meters wide by maybe 2.4 meters high. So it's a very typical size room. And let's just show you how we can transform this completely into a magical space for you and your family. So let's get started. The flooring, typically we go for a darker sort of carpet flooring, and that with a nice underlay, that's going to give us some good acoustic control. Then we want to look at, well, what's happening inside or outside of the nearby building. So if you've got a hallway maybe going past your cinema room, you may have chatter and footsteps and people talking in the hallway. You don't want to hear that in your theater room. You want to be completely concealed from the outside world. So sealing up the air gaps around a door, really great way to control some of that noise and isolate the sound from the rest of the house into the cinema room. In addition, you may have a roof space that could also leak sound somewhat as well, particularly if you're concerned with the home theater sound and the high energy of the cinema actually getting through to other rooms. So sometimes we might put an extra layer on the ceiling, and in doing so, we can avoid some vibration and noise from that. We also want to get rid of any other light from the house. So here we might have a roller shutter for an external window. That works really nice for blocking sound, blocking light, trapping heat or the climate. So it helps the room be cooler or warmer, whichever way that we want to take it. Sometimes it might be an internal blind to cover that up as well, or potentially some drapery over the whole lot is another technique we see. Now, we've sealed up the room. What's going to happen to quality of air? There's no window open, there's no air gap between the door. So most homes already have a ducted air conditioning system to allow cool air to come in, and ideally we'll have another vent to allow the warm air to get back out of the room. So this is a supply air and there's a return air. If you don't have a return air and it's only supply, then you may need to consider an exhaust outlet to make sure the air flows through. And where you exhaust that air is important, because where you send the airflow, you also send the sound of the cinema room. So we've got two things competing here already. We want to trap the noise coming in and out of the room, but also we want airflow in and out of the room. So another great option is actually a split aircon that's in room. It's very easy to sound isolate. Plumbing and the cabling is easy to seal up, but it will circulate the air in the room only. So you will need to freshen up the air by keeping the door open later. Now, with a ducted system like this, it works really great as long as we're not creating noise elsewhere. But we do have another problem. To get a beautiful big cinematic size screen, we really rely on projection systems, and that's projecting a beam of light from one side of the room to the other. And if we go through ambient air temperature to cold air temperature, then back to ambient, we're actually going to create like a mirage haze effect through our projection beam. So what we're going to want to do is relocate any air conducting and air flow away from the projection beam. Here we've got this now either side of the projection beam, and the light's going to pass through the middle, and we're not going to have that problem. Spending money on a beautiful 4K ultra high definition projector to then just make it beam through a mirage is going to lower that resolution and quality of picture significantly, and it'll be a really big shame to see that happen. Now we paint the room. We want nice darker tones to set the mood, and then we can start looking at fitting off the all-important speaker system. Now some of you might have thought, we're going to start with speakers. Well, we're quite a few slides into what is a theater by now, and we've only just got to the sound system, because the room itself really needs to support the whole experience. So here we've got the the bigger channel count or speaker quantity that home cinemas typically run. So we've got 3 speakers. This is going to be the screen side of the wall. To the right here, we've got 3 speakers. This is our left, our center, and our right, are our main stage speakers. It's where all the stereo music comes from, the center dialogue, which is critical to experiencing a movie. Without the dialogue and clear dialogue, we miss the story. So having that, good speakers and good positions, of course, center of room, is ideal. We then have some surround speakers we see on either side of the room, while we have the back speakers on the back wall. This has created a whole arrangement of sound around us. We then have the bigger boxes here are the subwoofer bass speakers, and then overhead we've got some Dolby Atmos overhead or top speakers. So this is the current soundtrack that you're going to find on Disney Plus, on Netflix, on disc. It's readily available. It's here now. The technology has landed. And indeed, if you had this sort of speaker system, all of these speakers would be working as a team all of the time to support your favorite movies and documentaries. So the future is here. Now we're going to look at some acoustical components. We've got some acoustic panels. These come in all sorts of shapes and sizes. Now this room is sort of really based on our entry-level concept. So we have a minimal amount of trim and interior design to create a really stylish, really great result without having to get too much cabinetry, custom cabinetry involved, because that costs a whole lot more. With that, we've got pictured here actually an IKEA cabinet, something really easy, really affordable to get. Now we do need to make a little bit of modification for these to actually fit in all the equipment. So the electronics, the amplifiers, the disc players, the gaming centers, the Netflix players, all that stuff sitting up below the screen. It's a great spot for it. It's sort of out the way, and it's a good utility. Now on a bigger, more custom cinema, you may have the luxury of a dedicated room just for the equipment. This scenario, we're really showcasing the best value placement and arrangement that you can do all within just the one room that you may already have. So a few of those modifications, we need to remove heat and we need to get cabling into these cabinets. So there's a few little modifications to make sure this will support a serious cinema system properly. Now we've got the screen up front. So the best value screens are a solid screen projected, and the screens can come in various shapes and sizes to suit your room, to suit your viewing preferences. Our Voyager room here starts off with the solid screen, which means the speakers are flanking the screen. They're nice and slim, they're low profile, so they're kind of out the way there. And then the projector gets to beam off this one nice solid screen. Another option as we go up in level of sophistication is actually a screen that's even wider, and it comes off the wall and the speakers actually live behind the screen. They project sound through the screen, just like a real commercial cinema, mind you. The screen's so massive, there's nowhere else to put the speakers but behind it. But it is where you want to see the voice, is where you want to hear the voice. So it really combines and curates the sound and picture ideally when we do that. But it does come at a cost of space, a cost of technology, a cost of budget. So here we see a beautiful big, probably 125 to 130 inch screen, really great value on a solid screen with the speakers flanking. That works beautifully. Other side of the room now is the front projection system. This is by far the most logical projection system you can go for, simply because we're projecting light off the screen in the goal to rebound that light back into the viewer. So you can see that where the seats are going to go in a moment, that the screen is a perfect reflector to bounce light out of the lens of the projector, off the screen and straight back to the viewers. You get maximal light, best uniformity, great color. Although it's not the only form of projection technology. You can rear project, you can beam the light from below, but of course if you beam the light from below, well, the light actually technically wants to skim off the screen and land on the ceiling. So this is the best concept that we can recommend for a great cinema room when you're starting off. Now the projectors, some of these guys are a little bit noisy. They are getting quieter as technology goes on, but at the same time with some of the bigger projectors out there, they can start getting really noisy. So we like to put these in their own installation box, climate controlled, that is airflowed from the ambient room temperature, and we quieten down the projector. That means you can run the projector at full power, getting maximal brightness, maximal color, no compromise for every hour of the runtime, versus dropping down the power to make it quieter to have a less than ideal picture. So again, the installation parameters of the cinema room is really going to impact the potential of the products that you actually choose. Now lighting, really important. Now some downlights, we often see maybe 4 downlights in a room like this already. We usually change them out to a nice black trim. If you know your room has a silver and white lighting with white ceiling, that will go nice and black, and those lights can switch out to suit. Now the thing is with the primary lighting is they sort of put light just everywhere. We really want to control the light. So here we've got our Eclipse light rail, which is designed to create ambient light over the seating and not on the screen. So this keeps you on the, you can't really even see the room. You can just see the cheese, your popcorn, your drink, and of course the image on the other side takes all your attention. Otherwise, we don't want to see the room. We don't want to pollute the screen. So these dedicated lights are an absolute wonder. Really transforms the experience. Here we've got the RGB lighting. So we've got some feature lighting going into this room as well. Where the acoustic panels go, because there's an installation parameter there, it's an easy way of actually adding some shadow edges to allow some ambient light. So when you enter the room, your welcome or entry lighting can add some of that color, add some of that pop to the room, make it feel really cool, because you're not in Kansas anymore, right? Like the real world, you leave that in the hallway, you walk through the door, you change your mood, you change your spirit, and you get ready for the show. So we really find that a room that has a little bit of bling really does help get you into state, help get you into the movie that much more. It's a good bit of fun. And it's a little bit of wow factor. With that, the lighting systems do need their own controllers and hubs. So there's more than just plugging in a few lights. It's actually wiring them in and getting that coordinated with the automation system as well. So here we've got now an arrangement of lighting, primary task lighting. We've got the overseat lights, and we've got some feature lights as well for a little bit of that fun. Controlling your cinema room should be easy. The last thing we need is any family member sort of hesitating to come into the room because they're not sure how to use it. So confidence is key, and making that easy. So we're using some really smart automation controllers, which make it really simple. We can switch the lighting switch to a smart keypad, so it literally can set your favorite lighting scene upon entry. As you exit the room, you can hit the all off and shut down the whole theater, the projector, the audio, the lights included. It's a really, really simple way to access the room. It really just becomes, the whole room itself becomes its own entity, and it's simple and it's automated. An all-in-one smart remote, you can dock that up the front there, keep it on charge, grab that, hop in the seat, watch Netflix, and you're in action, easy as. So some infrastructure behind the scenes. We've got cabling that needs to link from the equipment in the cabinetry over to the projection system, the speaker system, most demanding, because we're having, maybe 11, 13, 16 speakers. Usually 6 speakers was where we start, all the way through to about 16 speakers in rooms like this. So a serious amount of cabling. You don't want to be wiring up the room not knowing where the target locations are. It's going to cost you way more labor if you don't have a plan to actually get your cinema room wired up properly. This includes the lighting as well, where typically an electrician may be required also. So there's quite the network of cabling and infrastructure involved with these cinemas. So now we've got the key components of the room all laid out. We want to add a little bit more trim. So here we want to dress the room up And Drapery does a great job of hiding doors and windows and bits and pieces. In addition, in a more advanced room, we'll also put some other acoustic control behind the drapery to further advance the way that the room sounds. See, every room has its own sonic signature. It's a bit like when you're on the phone chatting to a friend, you're in your bedroom, then you wander into the ensuite, and that echoey sound of that room not only makes it hard for you to even hear yourself speak, but your friend on the other line is probably going to wonder why you're in the toilet. They can hear the sound of your voice change because of the sonic signature of the room. It is the same for every room, and it's especially true if we're trying to fire up 11 high-powered speakers in a small box. That's going to become really chaotic. So of course the room can be optimized to create perfect acoustics, and that's exactly what these room designs are aiming to achieve. Now, acoustics shall not look ugly. That's why this room looks super cool, because we've blended style and the aesthetic. So now we've got some seating. We need some luxury, beautiful seating, something very, very comfortable. Now, some might go daybed style. That's your preference. Most of our projects see recliner seats because it really is the ultimate in comfort. And when you lay back and you sort of float on your seat, then you lose maybe the sense of gravity a little bit, which means when the video system is showing motion, the sound is sweeping, then you literally start to feel that sense of motion as well. So comfortable seating, a real must when you want to just really get into the movie to the max. Beanbags are a really great way to look at additional seating. Of course, the kids absolutely love it. You could have a, full width, full height screen in this room. The kids are still going to want to sit closer. So they're great seats for kids and for that sort of overflow seating when you've got extra guests around as well. Now, there's one thing to have the room connected, laid out, installed. The calibration process, the commissioning process is paramount. I mean, just like every Ferrari, right? They don't just plug it all together, send it out the door. They literally test run every Ferrari on the racetrack, on the actual factory racetrack. And the driver is going to test and tune that car so they know that this thing is running as they expect it. And here's the other thing. Not every condition is the same. Is that Ferrari going onto a racetrack? Is it going onto a road? They can calibrate it to suit the environment. And that's exactly what we do for every video system as well. We want great brightness, great sharpness, and perfect natural color. We've all seen TVs playing the footy and the grass looks like fluoro green. This doesn't look real. It doesn't look natural. It's bright, but it doesn't look right. And everything about cinema is about connecting us to the unbelievable. So the more natural and the more real and the more coherent everything is, the more you're going to get into it, the more you're going to be shocked by the action, the more you're going to enjoy what's happening. So calibration, super important process. And the speaker system, just the same. We mentioned we've got a whole arrangement of speakers here. This is the full-fledged Dolby Atmos for sound speaker count. We definitely need to tame and coordinate and time all these speakers so they fire at you, the main listening seating, the main seats. That needs to be clear and coherent. So there's quite the effort, even after the design, the geometry, the layout, the acoustics. We do all those things right. We then need to verify the system, need to make sure every product in the chain is doing what it says it would do at its promise, and is coordinated to work as one harmonious system. So the real magic here is not hearing any one of these speakers in particular, but rather hearing the environment that all these speakers are creating. And when that's done just right, it truly is magic. And again, this is a small room. This works in this room size. Absolutely. It works in smaller rooms as well. So here we've got the listening layer of speakers. We've got the 3 at the front, 2 on the sides, 2 at the back. Now, most systems can get away with 3 at the front and just 2 on the side. So we could do 5. In this installation, we're showing all 7. Then we got the bass. So some people think of Acer woofer for the bass. We prefer to run 2 balances out the room really nicely. Even better is the 4 subwoofers. The beauty of the 4 is they push and pull against each other. They sit inside the confines of the room and they fill up and they fill out the bass over a good range of seats. So do a little bit of research on bass in small rooms, and the multiple sub approach always delivers the smoothest, most realistic sound. And yes, it has a good amount of power as well. Then we have up to 4 overhead speakers with the home Dolby Atmos format. So we've got 7 around the room, we've got multiple subs, and 4 speakers overhead. These are designed in the studio to work with the other speakers in the room. And again, the timing is everything. The calibration is everything to make sure that that sound over there matches with that sound over there. And by the time it gets to your seat, voila, you have a missile flying through your room, quite literally. And yes, the Maverick scenes, the latest Top Gun, certainly showcases that to the max. So here we now have a harmonious collection of speakers. This is the largest speaker count that we do in this sort of room. You can do smaller, and then on elite level cinemas, we can do way more. We've done 24, 25, 27 speakers in one room. Here we're showcasing again our Voyager concept, which is really speccing the best value. And the Dolby Atmos sound, like this quantity of speakers will run when you play Disney Plus, Dolby Atmos on Netflix. All those streaming services we love are playing predominantly Dolby Atmos sound and will use all of these speakers. In fact, some elite systems which run even more speakers don't always get the luxury of always running those speakers because they're a little bit more unique in the way the soundtrack is created, whereas all the streaming services, this format here, 744, compatible with everything. So you get amazingly good value. So here we've got a really beautifully well balanced, it's got a room that has nice symmetry to it, has some elegance, has really quite a sophisticated backbone as we saw before. And with that feature lighting now, we can start to see how it creates this really great warmth. It creates a mystique, something when you walk into the room, you can sort of really feel like you're somewhere else. You know, you're not at home anymore. So beautiful ambient lighting. You can see with the ambient lights, we've got lighting predominantly over the seats and not over the screen. And it's up to you what to play. So here we can entertain with family and friends. Sporting events can be a big one for really packing out the cinema. A good use for those extra beanbags. But then you might be watching a latest rock concert. Not everyone got tickets to Taylor Swift, right? Or the Coldplay concert. So they've recorded these shows, they've mixed and mastered them, and they're streaming now. And you can watch that show that you missed. In fact, you may watch it as good or even better than going to the live show through the technology we have today. So here we've got a cinema room designed around a family of primarily 4, but we can see this room extend out to entertaining by adding a few beanbags or even the bar stools at the back. I actually use my kitchen bar stools, bring them into the theater room when we're having a sports event or a bigger family event, nephews over, and we can grandstand behind the primary seats and add this extra row just when required. So a family cinema of 4 can become an entertaining room of 12 or so. So it's very, very versatile. But of course, most importantly, it sounds perfect and it's best value for when it's a few people enjoying their cinema room. And you could have something like, we love having date night at home, get your favorite cheese that costs that extra bit more per kilo that you don't eat every day of the week, and enjoy decadence, enjoy, really treating yourself to something special, which can be done in your own home now. In fact, a lot of movies and releases skip the box office. They skip the commercial cinema. The only place to watch some of this new amazing art is actually streaming at home. So if you don't have a home cinema or a friend's home cinema to enjoy it in, if you're watching it on a TV or an iPad, you're missing out on the experience completely. So that's a really great wrap on what is a home theater. This is our Voyager concept we just explored. It is sort of one of our more simple, but you can see a simple theater is really very sophisticated still. All of these layers, all these considerations are going to result in a room which is comfortable, it's quiet, it's then fully immersive when the sound turns on, the picture looks natural, you're not distracted by the outside world. It's a real room to be proud of. And when done well, then it really is an asset well into the future and something you can enjoy on really any day of the week. So I hope that's been really inspiring and educational, and gives you some insights to how an ordinary room at home can really become transformational and beautiful. So for more inspiration and education, please check out our website and our social media, where you get to learn a whole lot more. I'm Scott Rogan, founder and lead designer of Rogue Home Cinema, and I look forward to catching you again soon.